It's Tuesday, December 19. In the headlines, Jamaicans warned against engaging in child labor. In business news, Staten says Jamaica's 12-month inflation rate was 6.3%. Regionally, UK minister in Guyana for talks with government. And in sports, Reggae Boy captain Andre Blake's goalkeeper clinic was a success. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Schools have closed for the holidays, and dozens of teenagers are now working for this Christmas period. State Minister in the Labour and Social Security Ministry, Dr. Norman Dunn, says Jamaicans should be mindful of the distinction between child work and child labour. He says child labour is illegal in Jamaica. The International Labour Organization defines child labour as work that deprives children of their childhood, their potential and dignity, work that is harmful to physical and mental development, socially or morally dangerous, and interferes with a child's schooling.
Child work cannot include working, begging on the street, working in massage parlors, working as go-go dancers, and involvement in tobacco, drugs, guns, lot of scamming, etc.
Dr. Dunn is warning employers not to engage persons under the age of 18 years to work in their establishments. You should know that Section 34 of the Child Care and Protection Act, CCPA, criminalizes child labor. Under the Act, a fine not exceeding $500,000 or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both can be leveled on persons who act contrary to the conditions stated in the CCPA. Jamaicans are again being warned that persons under the age of 18 years are not to be at work.
That the government's effort through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has in fact reaped much reward in the elimination, and by extension sensitizing our population because of the cultural issues that was mentioned by both you and Monica. It's a fact, and sometimes it's not understanding the distinction that makes the problem more than it is.
Recycling Partners of Jamaica aims to increase Jamaica's recycling rate from the current 30% to 60% in the next few years, with a long-term vision of reaching 75%. The company opened its cutting-edge facility in Nagohead, Portmore, St. Catherine, and the chairman of the board, Dr. Damien King, expressed pride in the company's progress. He says his team collects plastic bottles from all parishes.
We have established 7 collection depots. We now have access to 31 trucks. And we have placed island-wide over 500 cages for people to contribute bottles.
He says the aim is to increase the collection each year.
If you go back just before the pandemic, we were collecting around 7% of the bottles that are produced and sold into the market. We could only go up from there, except we went down because of the pandemic. So down we went. Once we recovered from the pandemic, then we started on our upward trajectory. But upward is not linear, you know. It's a rocky road. But as long as the trend is up, this year we really, put it into gear. And we have been able to raise our collection rate as of the last few months to 30% of the bottles that have been put into the marketplace.
Dr. King says 278 million plastic bottles have been collected so far this year, and he believes recycling plastic bottles will become the norm.
So this is a journey that goes through public education to harness that national pride into a movement that is going to take our journey from those who just want to recycle because they know it's the right thing to do, extending that through those who are more easily convinced, until even those who are reluctant can't help but go along with the majority, until we get everybody in on this journey.
14% of all litter consists of beverage containers. Therefore, recycling plastic bottles can help to reduce the amount of litter on our streets, waterways, and oceans. Not only do the toxins in plastic affect the ocean, but acting like sponges, they soak up other toxins from outside sources before entering the ocean. As these chemicals are ingested by animals in the ocean, this is not good for humans. We, as humans, ingest contaminated fish and mammals. The Bureau of Standards Jamaica will be training more contractors, masons and other stakeholders to ensure compliance with updated building codes. Danita Rodney has the story.
Speaking during a JIS think tank, Director of Standards at the Bureau of Standards Jamaica BSJ, Julia Bonner-Duez, says that stakeholders are being trained through a partnership with the University of Technology Jamaica under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. According to Mrs. Bonner-Duez, the 9-month training program covers fire code, small residential code, and the big building code, and the training will continue into other smaller codes. She added that design construction can be considered by students at the secondary level as a viable career path and encourages those with the interest to get involved. Building codes are standards and regulations referred in the Building Act 2018 and implemented through the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. The project, which commenced in 2016, is expected to conclude in May 2024. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Danita Rodney.
In this week's Living Healthy report, we continue to look at preventing chronic illnesses through a healthy lifestyle and behavior change. We've been chatting with Dr. Elizabeth Rose Johnson, Director of Medical Weight Loss and Aesthetics.
The simple carbs are bad. So the simple carbs would be the water, crackers, and the bread, because you have taken a grain of wheat. And wheat now is not wheat that was available 50, 60 years ago because of the genetic modification. Wheat is a simpler product. But if you were a caveman and you had some wheat, we didn't have complex machinery that would grind the grains down into the finest powder, so fine it's finer than salt. Did you know that flour will rise your blood sugar faster and higher than sugar? Because it's so fine. So even when we say, oh, whole wheat, whole grain flour, the molecules of the grain part, the whole wheat part, and the molecules of the fiber are the same size. So that fiber that we say is whole wheat is no longer acting as a way to attenuate how fast the body can absorb the sugar in the flour, because God bless what the fiber is. The fiber is no longer fiber. The fiber is as fine as the flour. So if you were a caveman and you were taking a stone and you would pound the wheat and you'd get it to a point where, you know, it's processed, but it's not highly processed, and you make some bread with that, that's going to take a long time for your body to break it down to sugar because it's not ultra processed. Now the flour in the supermarket is ultra processed. So when you make that into bread, when you eat it, even though it's a nice solid piece of bread and it looks like this is not sugar, when it breaks down, it becomes sugar so quickly in your bloodstream that it doesn't get into the small intestine to be absorbed. It just goes straight into your bloodstream. So in 5 minutes, you have all of that sugar from the bread. And if you're sitting at a desk and your blood sugar is extremely high, if your body doesn't do something about it, you're now diabetic. Because having sugar in your bloodstream is corrosive, you know, it damages your body. That's why diabetics get into trouble. So your body's job is, you see the sugar high, insulin, get going, surge, pick up all of that sugar from the bread, store it as fat. So the same thing happens with crackers or anything else that you're using flour for. But it seems simple because, you know, crackers is a solid thing, whereas sugar, you look at it and say, oh, well, this is bad. But the flour in most baked goods is going to behave in the same way. So when you're going to choose a healthy breakfast, I have patients that tell me they're diabetic and they say, or they want to lose weight, and they say, well, I'm not even eating dinner. All I'm doing, I just eat 6 crackers, water crackers, and I have some tea, and I go to my bed. So what did they do? They went to bed with a bloodstream full of sugar, sleeping so you can't burn off the sugar. So insulin came along and took it and stored it as fat, and tomorrow you wake up heavier. Or if you're diabetic and you're having difficulty, tomorrow morning you wake up with your blood sugars high, and then you say, but I didn't even eat. I missed a meal. You don't want to miss a meal. This is not about not eating. This is about knowing why the crackers is not working well, and then saying, okay, a better option for me would be to do, even if it is some sardines and a half a slice of yam, or even a half a slice of whole grain bread that has, you know, more solids in it, more oats and more grain. That would be better than the white flour crackers and the tea, because you're doing your body no good. There's no nutritional benefit to that except sugar, and you don't need the sugar, you're going to your bed.
Good day and welcome to the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams. Let's now turn our attention to the key developments impacting businesses, investors, and traders. In consumer news, the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, STATID, reported that for November 2023, the 12-month inflation rate was 6.3%, which is 1.2 percentage points higher than the prior 12-month inflation period. However, for the month of November 2023, the inflation rate was 1.6%, which is the highest for the calendar year to date. Individual divisions saw the following changes. Food and non-alcoholic beverages went up by 1%. Alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and narcotics went up 0.6%. Clothing and footwear went up 0.3%. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels went up 0.5%. Furnishing, household equipment, routine household maintenance went up 0.3%. The cost of health went up 0.2%. The cost of transportation jumped 9.9%. There was no change in information and communication costs. Recreation, sport, and culture went up 0.2%. Education costs went up 0.8%. Restaurants, accommodation, and services had no change. Insurance and financial services also had no change. Personal care, social protection, and miscellaneous goods and services went up by 0.4%. In corporate news, we start with dividends. Expect a check in the new year. A.S. Bryden and Sons Holding Limited has declared a dividend of TT 0.0126 cents per share to all shareholders in Trinidad and Jamaica on record as at December 29, 2023. The payment date of the dividend is January 18, 2024. The ex-dividend date, which is the date you should be on record as a shareholder, is December 28, 2023. Also, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Limited, SCC, has advised that the Board of Directors will meet on Friday, December 29, 2023, to consider a payment of a final dividend to stockholders for 2023. In corporate credit, even companies need their credit report checked to get attractive financing. Wigton Wind Farm Limited has advised that the Caribbean Information and Credit Rating Services Limited, CARICRIS, has, in respect of the assigned rating to the J5.8 billion bond issued by Wigton. CARICRIS has also reaffirmed that Jamaica's national rating of JMA, and upgraded by 1 notch to the regional scale rating of CARI BBB+. This is good news on the corporate front. Board changes on the corporate level. Elite Diagnostic Limited has advised that Chairman of the Wisinco Group, Mr. William Mafood, who was the elite diagnostic chairman of the Corporate Governance Committee, will resign from the board of directors effective December 31, 2023. Additionally, an executive subcommittee of the board of directors has been constituted to concentrate efforts on operational issues, including machine downtime. Jetcon Corporation Limited, which trades as Jetcon, has advised of the following changes to its board of directors effective November 29, 2023. John Jackson, having reached the maximum age permitted by the company's Articles of Association to hold a board seat, now retires. Iron Rock Insurance Company, which trades as Rock, has advised that a connected party purchased a total of 20,000 Rock Limited shares on December 18, 2023. Now let's turn to trading on the stock exchanges. We start with Jamaica. Trading on December 18, 2023 saw the top advancing stocks covering the packaging, shipping and logistics, and real estate sectors in Jamaica. AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited shares advanced by 17.7% or jumped 41 cents to close at $2.72 with 6,077 shares traded. Shipping and Logistics Company Cargo Handlers Limited shares advanced by 15.4% or added $1.71 to the share price to close at $13.08 with 168 shares traded. Cygnus Real Estate Finance shares advanced 14.44% or clipped up by $1.30 to close at $10.30 with 558 shares traded. Now, of course, traders will see declines. So on the declining stocks that traders experienced on December 18th, the top three losers covered the utilities, real estate, and distribution sector. Hotel and restaurant food distribution company Everything Fresh Limited declined by 15.53% or fell by 25 cents to close at $1.36 with 150,000 shares traded. Microfinance and remittance firm Lasco Financial Services Limited declined by 12.83% or slipped by 24 cents to close at $1.63 with 30,200 shares traded. Distribution firm Paramount Trading Limited declined by 11.38% or shaved off 19 cents off the share price to close at $1.48 with 102,000 shares traded. Over to the Twin Island Republic. Trading activity on the first-tier market of the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange registered volume of 274,000 shares, crossing the floor at an exchange value of TT $1.7 million. National Enterprises Limited was the volume leader with 173,000 shares, changing hands for a value of TT $680,000, followed by Massey Holdings Limited with a volume of 26,000 shares being traded for TT $115,000. Endeavor Holdings was the only active security on the second-tier small and medium enterprise market on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, posting a volume of 1,377,000 shares traded with a value of TT $18,000. Moving from the money moves of investors and executives on the stock exchanges, we now move to the Forex market. On December 18, 2023, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $36 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $28 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $155.80 and bought the US dollar for $155.32. The difference between the buy and sell rate was 48 cents, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar sold. Canadian Forex traders earned a profit of 61 cents from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at 117.06 cents and bought for $116.45. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $11.30 for every pound traded. They sold it for $202.45 and bought it for $191.15. Now we look at the credit report tip of the day. Ignoring your credit score can have significant financial consequences. Your credit score follows you from the age of 18 years old until you die. And so your credit score is a numerical representation of your credit worthiness. It tracks how you pay everything from your light bill to your credit cards to your loans. Hire purchase furniture goes on your credit report. And so it plays a crucial role in various aspects of your financial life. To avoid these negative consequences, regularly monitor your credit report, address any errors, pay bills on time, and manage your credit responsibly. Taking proactive steps to maintain and improve your credit score can save you money and open up more opportunities in the long run. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, the British Minister for the Americas, Caribbean and Overseas Territories, David Rutley, visited Guyana on Monday for talks with President Dr. Ifran Ali and other members of government. The minister was meant to show the United Kingdom's unequivocal support for Guyana's territorial integrity amid Venezuela's border claims. After he met with the president and other government officials at the State House in Georgetown, Mr. Rutley engaged local journalists.
We've been working incredibly hard because we have a very strong view that we want to support Guyana's territorial integrity. We believe passionately that the border issue was settled back in 1899, and we're very clear about how we can support the sovereignty. So we've been working very closely with other nations, bilateral allies, and like-minded countries. And also international bodies. So the Foreign Secretary, Lord David Cameron, he's been speaking to many countries in support, Brazil and others. And I've been speaking to Brazil, to the Commonwealth, to to other countries involved in the UN Security Council like Ecuador, and working with other countries like Colombia as well, to understand where they are and also to encourage them to speak up and to highlight how important it is to respect the territorial integrity, but also to highlight how unacceptable and unjustified the actions of Venezuela. And on the back of that, we've now seen further progress. The Commonwealth, Baroness Scotland, pulled together a ministerial council, and from that we had a very robust statement, not just from the United Kingdom, which we had previously, but then to the Commonwealth. Canada have also made their voice heard loudly too, and we continue to have those active conversations to encourage other people to support our position, to support the Guyanan position, and also call out those unacceptable actions by Venezuela. The key area though is around diplomacy, and making sure that we get more countries speaking up about and in support of territorial integrity, and also calling out the unacceptable actions of Venezuela, and encouraging other parties to get the Venezuelans to honour the commitments they've made last week in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So that's been the primary focus of the conversation.
Barbados should find it easier to access some medications with the launch of a new vaccine lab in Africa. BioNTech, the German firm behind one of the first COVID vaccines, unveiled the first mRNA vaccine manufacturing laboratory in Rwanda on Monday. The lab will be seeking to produce 50 million vaccine doses a year once completed for not only COVID-19 but potentially tuberculosis and malaria. Speaking during the inauguration of the new facility, Prime Minister Mia Mottley hailed the initiative.
Today marks a concrete step for the people of Africa and its children and its diaspora to be able to turn the corner, not just in the fight against pandemics, which we have all learned is absolutely critical, but equally, simply, in our desire to ensure that our people can have access to the best possible therapeutics and biologics that are available on this planet.
Rwanda and Barbados have been advising and supporting each other closely on pharma manufacturing. We would like to see much deeper cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean, especially with respect to pooled procurement to make our industries sustainable.
To date, we have together already mobilized 1.2 billion euros as Team Europe, and it is amazing to think that in just 2 years, these biocontainers will be producing up to 50 million doses of vaccines per year. What's happening here in Rwanda can also happen in Barbados. And with the South-South cooperation, we're very keen to support this potential vaccine project in Barbados.
Jamaica Patriots Antigua has brought smiles and good cheer to scores of individuals with their 5th annual distribution of packages. Jamie J. Roche reports.
Let the Christmas get you in a good mood. Let the Christmas get you feeling fine.
The holiday spirit is in full swing at Clearview Psychiatric Hospital Sunday, thanks to Jamaica Patriots Antigua. The group members are providing meals for residents and staff at the government-run facility.
Last year when we came here, we gave out toiletries and we were told that they'd prefer food. So of course we listen to the voice of the people and we provide food. Now the food that we provide, we are catering to 150 patients and staff of Clearview with cooked meals.
The joy and gratitude here are palpable.
It's very heartwarming. I didn't expect it, and the patient, when I see on their face how they enjoy the lunch, that just make my day.
In sports, we kick off with football. Over 20 goalkeepers across the Manning and the Costa Cup competitions, in addition to 2 women goalkeepers from Rhinos Academy, attended Reggae Boys captain Andre Blake's goalkeeper clinic. The 2-day event was held on December 14 and 15 at the UWI JFF Captain Horace Burrell Center of Excellence in Mona. The goalkeeper coaches included Blake's Philadelphia Union coach Phil Wedden, Jamaica's under-20 goalkeeper coach Andrew Sewell, Rhinos Academy's Neo Oxford, Kingston College's Robert Beckford, and the Reggae Boys goalkeeper Jamali Waite. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Pleasant viewing.